Hello, it's me, Jess. Welcome to my channel. I'm here with another channeled message. This is a specific message. It might resonate with you, it might not. All right, so in this message, I feel like we're going to be doing a lot of shadow work and debriefing with your guides who seem like they're in a bit of a mood. They're being really cheeky, honestly. I'm hearing them say that they have a confession that they would like to make, and they're kind of looking at each other and snickering and like ribbing each other. None of this feels cruel or like you're the butt of the joke or anything. It just feels like they're goofing off and they're really pleased with themselves. So they're saying they have this confession, but then they're circling the word confession in my mind. And I just heard that song, These Are My Confessions, from Usher, but I feel like that confession energy might mean something to you because they're saying, okay, like let's stop playing coy. We know that you want us to answer very directly, yes or no, something here about this confession. And I don't know which side of the coin you're on with this. So for some of you, I think that you're wondering if you should wait for somebody to confess something, like wait for them to confess their feelings for you, or potentially that they've been up to something behind the scenes that you know about, or at the very least you suspect in some way. Should you wait? Is it worth that, right? But you could be on the other side of the coin where you are asking your guides, like, should I confess my feelings, or should I confess what it is that I've done or what it is that I've been up to, something here like that. And your guides know very well that that's the answer that you want, but they're withholding that information on purpose, and they know that you know that. And I don't know if this feels like maybe it mimics to some degree this situation that you find yourself in, but they know that and they're withholding it. And they're showing me the Hanged Man card. And again, they're being very cheeky, and this is coming through very meta because they're giving me different perspectives on that card. And the reason I think that's meta is because to me, the Hanged Man card is the perspectives card. And here they are giving me multiple perspectives on the perspectives card. And it's just giving this quality of dimension to the situation that you find yourself in now, almost like those like Russian nesting dolls, or if you are like zooming in or zooming out, using binoculars or, whatever. And it's giving you a different perspective every single time. And that seems to be the point of what it is that they're doing. And this is what they want me to explore in this particular message. So they know that you want this answer. So they're saying our confession is that we've been keeping you in this state of the Hanged Man. And they want to say it another way too, where you may have noticed that they haven't moved you on to the next state of progression. And what they mean by that is there's no action they're not giving you what you need to take action, or I think this has to do with the messages that they're kind of like giving you when you pull cards for yourself, or when you tap into your intuition, and also like when you go to like the readers or the places you usually go, they're not being forthcoming with that. And they know that they're doing this, and they know that you know that they are doing this. And they're saying, why might that be? And they want you to interact with that question here for a little bit. Why might that be? And this comes with a little bit of a presumption. If you live in a world that is meant for your learning and for your experiencing, and if you have benevolent guides who want the best for you, and they're not giving you this piece of information, why might that be? And they're saying you may have also noticed that our goals and your goals do not always align. And they're being very forthright about that with me. They're saying in no uncertain terms that where your goals do not align with their goals, you are in the wrong. And there's something that you are missing, or that you do not know, or that you do not understand, that you need to strive to understand. And that's what this segment of your spiritual journey has been about, from a higher perspective. And that's what they're trying to teach you how to do in this particular period of the Hanged Man, because they're giving me these different perspectives on that card, right? So I don't know if you dip in and out of both of these perspectives, you go back and forth as a part of your experience and your learning process here, or if there is a group that's primarily stuck in one of these views of this energy or not. But they're showing me, they're giving me the word stagnation, right? Which is often associated with the Hangman card. And they're showing me, it's weird what the image they're showing me in my mind, because I'm seeing a toddler that's like very frustrated, like mildly frustrated actually. And her arms are crossed in a huff, and she's got her lips stuck out, and she's kind of in that huff energy. She's kicking her legs, but she has very adult legs, which is weird. Like, yeah, it's like a mishmatch of like toddler energy and adult energy that I'm kind of seeing come through here. But she's kicking her legs around because she has all this energy that's built up within her in this frustration stage that she doesn't know what to do with. She doesn't know what to do with. She doesn't know what to do with. And that is giving rise to that energy of stagnation. She doesn't know where to move the energy or how to interact with it if she doesn't have the answer to the question and the answer that she thinks she needs to the question in order to be able to decide what to do. And this feels like in the material world. And this is the other thing that they're showing me is that when your goals and their goals don't line up, usually that's the split. Not always, but usually that is the split, is that you're thinking about things from the material aspect of your life, which they are not faulting you for. They're saying that is 100% valid of a lens to look through, is like your material existence. It's just not the only one, is what they're saying. And actually that'll make a lot more sense to you, where to point your energy, where to outlet your energy in the material world, if you can also pause and then look through that spiritual lens. And what they're saying is that's what where their goals are. They have higher, more holistic, well-rounded, encompassing goals on their spiritual side of things. So you have material goals that you want to accomplish for yourself. They have spiritual goals and objectives. And where they're not giving in to your material goals, they need you to start trusting that there's a reason why, and they need you to engage your curiosity. And they're saying this is your initiation, the initiation into curiosity. And that's what this stage of your spiritual development has been about. And I'm hearing, lead me to the rock that is higher than I. This is some kind of higher spiritual lesson. So they know what they're doing, and they're being very insistent about that they know what they're doing and that they're really good at it and that they're doing multiple things at once. So this section of your spiritual life where you've been left to deal in this and you've been left to explore your curiosity. And that's been the point, is leaving you to explore your curiosity. And they're giving me the image of like a toddler, again, with a toddler, kind of moving around. Like I used to be a toddler teacher, and so they're showing me the classroom that I used to work in, and like they're showing me the toddler like moving from bin to bin with all the little toys and stuff that they can play with. And you know, toddlers, they put things in their mouth and they're exploratory, and most of the time they're completely, they can entertain themselves and they get very curious about certain things, and they're trying to climb up on things and they fall down on their butt. And most of the time they're engaged, but sometimes they get very frustrated and maybe they shove the other kids or, want to bite something or whatever. So they're showing me like this is the process. And through a certain lens, it might seem like, why do I come to the same room every single day? I've already explored this room. I've already put this toy in my mouth. I've already fallen on my butt 4 times yesterday. Why do I need to fall on it another 4 times today? But we know that what looks like curiosity and exploration and play is a way that a toddler learns. And they're saying this is key and this is important as well, because we talk a lot on my channel about the student function and how absolutely important it is on the spiritual journey. And we're all into tarot here, right? So the page, the knight, the queen, the king. So another way of relating to that is the student, teacher, healer, master. And I've mentioned this before, but the student function is the base function for a reason, not because it lacks importance, but because that is kind of an internal engine. If you can truly master the student function, then in any situation, you can be your own light and you can level up. And part of being a student is taking responsibility for your own education. Like if you don't understand something, then it's your responsibility to raise your hand. It's your responsibility to meet with the teacher after class or sign up for the tutor program or try to find another way of engaging with the material, right? To make sure that you understand it so that you can move on to the next level. And I feel like that's also what this has been teaching you as well. That if you are feeling like I'm frustrated, there is no point to this, I am just stagnating because nothing is happening on the physical and I'm not getting an answer to the very one specific thing that I want and I feel victimized by that, they're saying that is a choice and that you don't know what to do. What that's telling you, there's so much information for you to engage with. What that's telling you is you don't know how to make productive that hanged man energy. That's what this is about. And in order to make that energy productive, you've got to change the perspective on that. And the other thing they want me to highlight about the student thing is they're saying a lot of us, when we think about the student function, like when I'm talking about it just now, we think about like a student in a classroom at a desk reading a book with a paper and pen. And the reason they're giving us the toddler example is because toddlers are not afraid to fail. Toddlers do not have an ego about them if they've fallen on their butt for like, even though they might get frustrated that they've fallen on their butt 5 times in a row, it might start getting a little sore and they might be, sad and frustrated and angry, they don't have a chip on their shoulder about it. They just kind of get back up and they continue to explore their environment, and to engage and to interact with that environment. And they're kind of showing me the messages that are coming through, like for yourself and from readers that you trust. And, that's you putting the toys in your mouth kind of over and over again and kind of, ascertaining like, is this food? Is this sustenance? Could this hurt me? What is this? Like, what am I learning about this? It's that kind of a process, but they want us to kind of get out of our minds about student being, just like reading books and actually like engaging with a certain set of information. And that's where they're getting into the other perspective of the hangman energy, which is that spiritual initiation. And it's learning through looking at this through different perspectives and just being able to do that. And they're saying the question they posed to us at the beginning of this reading, which is, okay, if it's not moving, why might it not be moving? Through the lens of love and productivity and what my guides might want me to engage with in this room, why might that be? Just asking yourself that question alone is high spiritual progress. And if you do that unprompted, that is higher spiritual progress. Because when you get yourself into a situation, or if you're trying to understand something, then this is going to speed that up. And it's also going to allow you to take in more information. Now they're showing me the eyes of the predator. That's something they've been bringing up on my channel a lot. The eyes of the predator versus, I don't want to say the eyes of the prey. Let's just say like the eyes of like an herbivore or an animal that chews the cud, like like a herd animal that's like an herbivore, So the eyes of the predator, their eyes are always in the front of their head. You notice that? And so that they can zero in, they can lock in on a target. And they're saying that sometimes our minds are like that. They just focus in and then they don't see anything else because they're quite confident and that they're the biggest thing in the woods, and they're just going to lock right onto that. And that's a certain level of consciousness. And they're actually tying this in with your nervous system a lot, like not yours specifically, like this is like our nervous systems. This is like how our system functions, So they're tying that in with a certain state of consciousness, and that they're trying to get you out of that state of consciousness, or at the very least to be able to identify, oh wait, I'm in this state of consciousness. And that they're saying that's you fixated on this question. You want a certain answer that's going to give you a yes or no, an affirmative or not. And they're saying you want that affirmative or not affirmative because you misunderstand life and its purpose. You think what am I supposed to do next? And they're saying that's you abdicating responsibility because life it's an artwork. It's something, for you, what do you want to do next? Okay. And you're saying, well, in order for me to decide that, I need this one specific information. And they're saying, what if you don't have that? Now, how do you make this decision, right? Or where does it tell you that your energy should focus on? Now, let's talk about that, the vision of the herbivore and this different level of consciousness, and a different way that you can take in information. And because herbivores, or like prey animals more so, their eyes tend to be on the side of their head. So they're in the field and they're kind of they're taking in more information because they're looking for like movement or something, but they're equating this, if this is a perfect metaphor or not, they're equating this with a more relaxed state of consciousness. And the chewing of the cud, it's like just chewing something over and over and over again. And the cow that has several stomachs, it's that level of consciousness. Does the cow say this is pointless, or is it very much necessary for them to actually pull the nutrient in the metaphor out of this situation? The spiritual nutrient that is there. This is what they're teaching you how to do. But you have to first understand that there is a spiritual dimension. There is a spiritual component. So where you are tapping into spiritual practices potentially, or just even on occasion, right? Because you want these certain answers to help navigate your material life. Your guides are saying you're living a material life in order to better understand these spiritual perceptions. And in order to do that, you have to look at it from a higher perspective. This is a situation that's teaching you maybe patience, but it's teaching you how to dip in and out of different lenses. And the questions that we ask ourselves are these different lenses. Okay, so putting that to the side for a second, they're saying this period of your life has been about exploring your curiosity. And in this situation, you have a lot of curiosity, and we're not about to waste it, is what I'm hearing. Now, for some of you, this may be a past situation or somehow it's like a past circumstance that they are revisiting. Why? They're showing you that you skipped over a lot in your past because you thought it was pointless because you couldn't get anything out of it on the material maybe, or you didn't know how to engage with it. And so you just kind of skipped right by. But now life has brought you back around in a twist of irony, a twist of fate, if you will, because they want to show you how much you missed. And if you have this ability to interact with your life in a certain way, that this is the key to like being able to understand things deeper or being able to grow spiritually much quicker. This is such a gift, is what they're saying. This is such a gift from them to you, is what I'm hearing, from a spiritual perspective. But they can see your frustration, and it's a wall that you're bumping into. And they're kind of showing me a mouse trying to get through a maze, and it's like it can smell the cheese on the other side of the wall where it's sitting, but it's like there is a wall there. So you have to like walk away from it's like you're learning how to navigate this maze that we call life. But learning how to navigate it sometimes means being able to tap into the spiritual purpose, to recognize that their goals and your soul's goals in coming here may not be something you can connect with easily because you're trying to navigate that material existence, if that makes sense. So getting back to this curiosity, okay, because this is an initiation into curiosity as a teacher, where it leads you to a much more open mindset and a process-oriented mindset where the journey is the reward. And it's not that eye of the predator where it's like, I'm going after that target and I want that target specifically. They're trying to teach you the joys in this journey, the rewards in this journey, in navigating from this other way of being, this other level of consciousness. So in doing that, you've been allowed to explore your curiosity. And they're saying, and there is an immense amount of curiosity in this particular situation. And that in and of itself is a lot of information to have. So they've left you alone to explore this situation. And they're saying to explore the dark side of the moon, which to me is to explore what you haven't been able to see from your current perspective. Because from Earth, we can't see the dark side of the moon. And so they've helped you and they've introduced you to tarot, etc., so that you can explore this other side from this different perspective. And the moon is such a potent metaphor for me always because it speaks to fears and illusions, the subconscious mind. And moon in Vedic astrology, you guys are probably sick of hearing me say this, but it represents the whole mind, the pattern finding, logical side of the mind, but also the emotional side of the mind. And I feel like there's something about this particular situation. I just heard never the two shall meet, but it meets here in this situation. So it tells me that it's something social, emotional. So you're trying to figure out pattern recognition and everything here, but it has to do with like within your own emotions, within somebody else's emotions. So it's activating this like whole mind energy. And possibly something here is very cyclical. So it just keeps kind of generating this curiosity. And they're saying the other reason, there's a lot of planetary energy in this. So I don't know what that means to you. Take it however it resonates. They're saying the other reason why there's so much curiosity here is because, and they're showing me Pluto, like Plutonic energy. And Pluto, of course, rules over the sign of Scorpio. We get a lot of Scorpionic energy here. Scorpio is a fixed water sign. It is very deep, very stagnant water. And that lines up very well with this nod to the subconscious and nod to the shadow realm. So that is where they have you exploring, because there is a lot of this like watery content, which is feelings here. You're curious about your feelings, and Pluto is a potent energy, right? So there's a lot of power there. There could be lust, there could be transformation, there could be death, there could be power. There's just strong feeling here that you're very curious about. And they're showing me the difference again between like curiosity, or between the fixed mindset and the process-oriented mindset. And they're going back to the moon, which has to do with, so they're saying like part of the reason why this water is so deep and stagnant here is because it's been allowed to pile up over time, but there could be structures of the mind that have been put there defensively, because our mind is a beautiful, wonderful thing and it does try to keep us safe. And so there could be, in this fixed oriented way, things that you have wrongly assigned in there that you have as pillar energies, things that you think are one way and you're pretty sure about it. So when you're exploring this energy, you're saying, well, this is this, and that definitely means that, when in fact it might not. And in fact, you might only be believing that because your ego put that defense mechanism up so that you didn't have to consider another way of looking at it. But now it's time. So that's for some of you. And I don't know what elements that would be in this situation, but certain things need to be revisited. So you're splashing around and you're swimming around, you're exploring this very deep, very stagnant water. And what you're doing on a spiritual level is you are creating momentum. You are creating movement in a very stagnant area of your mind. This is another one of their higher spiritual goals, is to get movement in here. And they're saying this is also something that you don't understand, because from your side of things, like they're saying on the earth side, on the earthly realm, and you're saying, I want this to move. I don't feel satisfied unless this moves. Okay, you've had me here like long enough. I'm bored. Let's just move on to the next stage, And they're saying to you, that looks like flipping a switch. Like we just make a decision, and they said, we've already made the decision that we are ushering you through this process, but you don't understand the process. And in some cases, maybe some of you, they are saying unwilling participant, but they're saying in order for us, it's not like flipping a switch. In order for us to actually move this energy, we've got to create a momentum. And that's what we're doing. And we're doing it by having you explore this arena with your curiosity, because there's a lot to explore here. And again, they bring me back to Pluto. There's a power here that you don't understand. Why is this a power? Why does this have a power over you? Why are you curious about it? This other person, why? What does that mean? And be careful of assigning meaning here. And I think some of you have learned that through this process. It doesn't necessarily mean automatically that this is your twin flame or that you're destined to be together, does it? It just means that there's a lot that needs to get sorted out here. And they're showing me a card for one of my decks of this kind of push-pull energy. And they're saying, whether you know it or not, the potency of emotion that you feel in this situation or for this other person, because that's, and it might link back to this confession energy, but there's a push-pull kind of dynamic. Like maybe, I don't know how you relate to that. Could be love, hate, could be I'm going to move forward. No, I'm going to pull back. I don't know what this is, because Scorpio always represents a soul split in two, but not split into in a very particular way. It's in an ambivalent way, which ambivalence means to be pulled in two directions just as fervently. So you have very strong feelings for this situation or how you should be dealing with the situation, strong feelings for this person, but in very different ways. And that is what you're addicted to, is what I'm getting. It's not necessarily the other person. You're associating it with the other person, but it's because of what's going on in that Plutonic space. It's because of what's going on in that moon space. For some of you, this could be a Pluto-moon connection where somebody's Pluto is talking to somebody else's moon. That's a very sticky situation. It can be a situation based on need and dependency. It can be a situation where somebody here has just a very strong pull over the other person's emotions. It can be, Pluto's always very touchy. It can be very passionate, but you have to know the quality of your Pluto, the quality of your 8th house, the quality of how you know how to deal with the scorpionic energies of yourself depends on if this is going to be a productive situation or one that just kills, right? And so I think you're being asked to engage with this space and to become really good at dealing with this, because this could, for some of us, could be a fulfilling situation, but for some, I think you're going to decide to move on with it. But you have to kind of go through this process. And there's no right or wrong answer. There is right or wrong engagement, though, is what I'm hearing. There is a right way and a wrong way to engage with this. And they need you to look at this from this like higher perspective and to try on these different lenses in regards of this. So part of that is the shadow work lens. What am I afraid of? Where are my areas of dependency? Where might I be looking for a shortcut or an out? Where am I looking for a savior? Where am I looking to be recognized? Where am I looking to be praised? Where am I looking to be a savior? All of those things can be silent, hidden, powerful motivators of our psyche and our subconscious. And asking yourself questions like, okay, well, if I was able to provide this feeling for myself, if I was able to provide financially for myself, the status for myself, socially or professionally, whatever, if I was able to just provide that for myself, how would that change the way that I feel about this person or this situation? Do the intense feelings go away? Because I think for some of you, the answer is yes. And I think for some of you, the answer is surprisingly no. But you'll never know unless you can kind of get to the bottom of this very deep, very stagnant water and actually build in some drainage or get some movement or move whatever is damming it up, And that's what this is about. But it's about you doing it and you finding the tools to do it. And that's mastering that student function, trying out different things. And they're showing me that has to do with the messages here as well. Like maybe messages that they send you when you're sitting down with your cards and, or that we are all leaning on each other. Because part of being a good student is finding good resources, right? And that's a part of it. It's like they just want you to engage. They just want you to interact. And they're saying you view that as a waste of time and they view that as a win because you're getting to know your environment. You're getting to know yourself, right? And they're not trying to frustrate you, but they're trying to help you be more process oriented and to engage with this process much, much better, if that makes sense. So okay, so they're giving me a couple of lenses here for you to try on. One is the lens of shadow work and all the questions that we just asked, what am I afraid of, etc. That's a part of it. But so they're saying like what higher spiritual perspectives, okay, like if my guides are not focused on me getting a yes or no answer so that I can move this way or that way, if they're not as concerned if I move this way or that way, what might they be concerned about me learning in this situation besides the process? So they're actually giving me 2 of the Brahma Viharas, which are the part of the 4 immeasurables. They're really talked about in Buddhism, but also a lot of other religions. It's very old kind of spiritual lessons. So things that we should learn how to do. And it's all about like being in balance and not confusing these energies with other energies. So one is joy with others, which is, if it's out of balance, it's like exuberance. And then on the other side, it can be envy, jealousy, that kind of thing. And the other one, the other Brahma Vihara is, equanimity, which is like temperance energy. So when it's out of balance, it can be like an indifference, like were you indifferent to something here, or was somebody indifferent to you? Or the other side of that is like a clinginess, an attachment, like a desperation, an ownership kind of energy. So just sorting through that within yourself and others and trying to find out, like, are you labeling something like, oh, I had a joy with this person, or did you have a jealousy about this person? Like what really actually is it? So they're showing me these different lenses. That's what this is about. And I think this has also been about trying to discover what was hidden, what was behind the scenes. And you're curious about it because of this push-pull energy. And possibly that's what's giving rise to this push-pull energy. And they are showing me this push-pull card in one of my decks. And it's a rope, like a tug-of-war rope kind of thing that's all knotted up. And they're saying karmic knot. And in order to build a knot, you have to push and pull strings together, not necessarily in a skillful way, because sometimes things just get like tangled up, and pulled upon. But in order to untangle the knot, you have to push and pull in a way that is skillful, don't you? You have to look at the knot. You have to pull in a certain area. You've got to push in a certain area. So it's like something here has gotten really tangled up so that you can have the experience of pushing and pulling in order to undo this karmic knot between the 2 of you. And this does have to do, again, they're showing me the moon and Pluto, issues of dependence. This is, so is this, and potentially, for those of you that I think this could really be something, I think that they kept this from coming together as something of dependence. I keep seeing Tess and George in my mind from 27 Dresses, which Tess is always lying to George. She's trying to paint this perfect image of herself so that he will choose her because she views him as having his life together. He's very successful. He's very philanthropic. He's very entrepreneurial. And she has just, she's been a model. She's been partying and, he's like vegan and she eats meat. She wants to fit his idea of perfect instead of just being herself and allowing herself to be chosen or not chosen, And maybe George is with Tess because, he's probably bored. He knows how to make systems. He knows how to choose reliable people to run his businesses and companies. Maybe he wants a bright spark, but that doesn't mean he wants a liar, And so at the end of that movie, even though they break up, when everything goes to shit, when they come back together again at Jane's wedding, Jane is the protagonist in this. When they meet up again, it was kind of a joke between the 2 of them where Tess actually introduces herself. And it shows that she's been working on her life and she's actually pursued projects that she is interested in. And she's at the early stages of being her own entrepreneur and seeing if it works. And it kind of gives you the impression that they're going to try again, but from a more honest state of mind. So there could be a paradox and an irony here. If this is something that you want to pursue when you're processing through your feelings and you're saying, no, I actually do feel something real for this person. I actually do love and admire this person. And if I was able to give myself those things, I would still be attracted to this person. I would still want to be with this person. I just was coming from a place of lack. And so I was lying or hiding things. That's those of you that want to confess something, right? I was lying or I was hiding things because I didn't think I was good enough, but I need to work on making myself good enough. And that's what's going to make this relationship sustainable because there possibly, there is an actual spark of genuine connection here on whatever level, right? But for others of you, I think that you might realize, that thank you for the lesson. Like that's going to be the thing that you gain the most from the situation is learning how to navigate life through a more spiritual, like leveling up spiritually. So this message is meant to address your frustration, basically. And to challenge, and that's the other thing they're saying is like getting that adult voice in your mind that challenges the kind of more petulant, we all have these. I'm not trying to judge you. Like the more impulsive, like, well, I don't like this because it's not exactly what I want in the moment. It's that adult voice that comes in and says, well, hold on, wait a minute, And they're saying ultimately they want to work you up to a place where you do this almost instinctively and without even not that you don't allow yourself to feel that, and give yourself a moment, in time. But then when you organically think to yourself, well, wait a minute, let me push back, let me challenge that perspective a little bit and see if I can try on another lens and see what the purpose might be, or see what I'm supposed to learn here, or what's going to, And I think there's a question here about making the situation move, but it's move where? If it can't move on the physical, they're trying to show you that that's not what they're trying to get you to look at. If they don't want you to move it on the physical, they must want you to move it internally. They must want you to move something here on the spiritual, adjust that. Because if they were to allow you to move on to this place before you've processed all the shadow material, before you have learned everything that you can learn, then you're just going to repeat. This isn't just about getting through this one situation. This is about getting through all others that are going to come after this with efficiency and care and grace and elegance and skill. That's what this is about. So if it was just about you so that's also a difference in your perspectives is what they're trying to say. You went through this one situation and they want you to grow internally so that you can meet all situations in the future in a different energy and you can make the most of this now. Because if you don't and they allow you to move on, you're going to do the same thing over again, where you're going to build false structures in your mind that you're going to call true. You're going to not challenge those because you're going to be in a state of defense on the one hand, ego defense, with the eyes of the predator going after a target, some kind of short-sighted target that's built on some kind of relief, some kind of selfish energy. And they are saying the relief energy in this is somewhat selfish or immature. This is that energy. We used to talk about this more. The marshmallow test, remember that? The marshmallow test being a test of success, how successful someone can potentially be. And it's all about delayed gratification. Here's your test in delayed gratification. So we're going to delay your gratification now, which looks like some kind of answer, some kind of definitiveness, some kind of something getting cleared up. We're delaying that gratification so you can look around. So once this floodgate comes up and you move forward and you make your decision to move forward in whatever way you do, the situations that you get in your life, you're not going to repeat these patterns that went through in this situation. And the pattern is that when you see certain things, possibly you make snap judgments in a fixed oriented mindset. Okay, this is this and that is that, without really getting curious, without being able to challenge those perspectives and saying, well, hold on. Maybe it's not. Maybe I just toddle in here and start putting things in my mouth, and also having a little bit of fun with it. But they're showing you this Plutonic space and how you built it in the past, and how you can unbuild it. And having gone through this process, now they want to teach you as you move into the next phase, how not to build that in the first place, how to have a better orientation with life and with yourself. And that is not putting up these false structures that you think this is this and this means this. And therefore it puts up that dam, it prevents something from being drained, and then you just build up another scorpionic space where now they've got to walk you through this process all over again. And don't get me wrong, we have to learn certain things more than once, and you're not a failure if you have to do that, but they're just saying make the most of it, truly learn. Like there might be some level of impatience here as well, which is normal in modern society with technology and everything. Again, that instant gratification, they're really wanting to challenge that, and they're showing you the fruits and how valuable it is for you to kind of move away from that. And for some of you, this has been painful, and shadow work is painful. It is. There's just kind of no getting around that. So they're saying we can kind of show you how to avoid this. We don't want you to have to go through this, but in order for you to not go through this again, we got to make the most of this in front of us now. And potentially they're showing you how you can learn lessons and not repeat them in the future. Again, like I was saying at the beginning, for some of you, this situation's come back around again for you to process this and actually learn this so that you don't jump into another situation like this in the future. Does that make sense? So your guides wanted to confess that, yes, they've got you in the hangman position, but it's for a reason, and they'd love for you to find that out. And it's asking these different things of yourself. And that's ultimately a part of it too. It's looking at yourself. Because with the eyes of the predator and the target, it's maybe you want this person or you want this relationship or you want a certain outcome and you're just so fixated on that they want you to switch and be in a different state of consciousness, which with the hangman energy here, I think meditation could help. Again, just this stagnating energy, this pausing energy, and making that fruitful. So they're saying that frustration, if you can't move, maybe you should meditate. If you can't do anything, if nothing is scratching the itch, if nothing is taking the pressure off, maybe you should just meditate and just learn how to sit in the discomfort or something. You see what I'm saying? How like we're just shifting the energies, and you got to play with your guides a little bit. You got to a little give and a little go. It's not just them capitulating to you, and they would be shit guides if they did that. If they just capitulated to every tantrum or every that we all throw here, and you know that we do it because life is a frustrating thing. But they're good at what they do. It's a little give and a little go. They're willing to play ball with you. They need you to be willing to play ball with them, and to understand that they're right about this. You will come around to knowing that they're right about this. And I'm not really getting much. I just have to say this about the outcome of this situation. Are you going to be with this person? Are you not? Is this person a twin flame or are they not? I think they're actually inviting you to step back from that space and instead to say, I have really powerful feelings about this situation. And it's in both directions at the same time. Why is that? And what can I learn from this situation? And engage and be curious. What does this mean on a spiritual lesson? And you just might find that you get what you need out of this situation. When you try, sometimes you just might find that you get what you need, right? So, and you might not know what you need, but you know that you're engaged in a learning. And it's just like they're showing me a dog now that's like trying to get the peanut butter out of the Kong. Like, you know that you're engaged in something. And that's what I'm getting. So I know this was a headier message, and it's truly probably not for everybody to understand this message right away. And I just want to remind you at the end of this that spiritual lessons and learning are very much like this. You don't always get it the first time around. And if you feel called to this message and if you feel the potency of it, don't give up. Just, it's okay to swish this around in your mouth. It's totally normal to not understand things at certain times. We all go through that. And if you do feel called to understand this message, if you can sense the potency of this for you, then it's just something to kind of let marinate. You can listen to it more than once, look up some of the terms or the definitions that were used here if you don't understand them, or embark on a study. This is mastering that student function. You don't have to wait for the next message. You don't have to wait for somebody to just bring it up in conversation or explain it to you. You can go hunting after the. So again, that's the eyes of the predator, switching back and forth between these energies in a way that's appropriate as a mastering of the student function. They really want you to practice. Part of being a student is practicing. And they're also wanting you to just practice doing that in this situation. So nothing is ever wasted, I just heard. But anyways, that's what I have for you. If that resonates, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Bye, guys.